I don't know if there's been another episode where I felt more like it's just you and I talking. I'm like, oh wait, they're still here.
Wait, are the cameras even on? Having somebody, a resource to help me really sort through, like, is this my anxiety talking? Or is this what is very real in order for me to stay safe?
Not to say anything negative about your life.
I don't want that for him either.
But I don't want him to be sitting here at 30-something years old and saying, I wish my parents did something to help me.
Yeah.
Welcome back to EpiPod. Danielle's had anaphylactic food allergies her entire life.
And Sarah is a food allergy mom to 2 kiddos.
Managing this invisible health condition can feel so isolating.
Do you also feel like you have a degree in overthinking?
If you're nodding your head like me, then you're in good company.
Let's get you off that allergy island right now with people who get it.
Ready to dive in? This episode is about therapy and all the ways you can find therapy if you need it, how it's helped us, all of that. But Danielle was like, yeah, I don't date anyone. Tell us your rule.
I don't date anybody unless they've been to therapy.
I mean, it's probably a really good measure.
Totally. Well, it's not like a hard no, but like it's the biggest red flag to me now as somebody who's just been doing it for the past year and a half, and who before, if somebody asked me if I'd been to therapy on a date, I'd be like, what business of that is yours? Like, it was like,
yeah. Or like, how troubled are you that like you need all this therapy?
I think I would think less that and more just like, oh my God, like they're psychic. They're on to me. Like they know, they know that I need it and I'm afraid to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it several times about how we both recently-ish, like since starting the podcast, we both have started doing therapy, and how both, it took a little bit of, for different reasons, talking ourselves into doing it. Mm-hmm. But we can talk a little bit from the person with food allergy experience and dive into that, as well as yours, who isn't a food allergy specific counselor.
Right. But we certainly talk about food allergy.
Oh, I'm sure you do. As well as like the way that I found my food allergy specific counselor.
Yeah. Which I think has, I mean, 1,000,001 benefits.
Totally.
I think I love who I talk to, and I definitely think she's qualified. And I think there are many, many, many qualified therapists out there to talk about food allergy struggles, just like any other struggle someone's dealing with.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of uniqueness in food allergy life, as we all know, that somebody who's just lived it and been there, I mean, it's like talking to an allergy best friend or talking to you. We just understand each other on a level that other people truly can't.
I think I would have, I mean, well, you can just dive in right there. Like I think I would have been spending a lot of money, it's very expensive, trying to explain the nuances and trying to validate. And then a lot of brain power wondering afterwards, like, does she like totally get it? Mm-hmm. Like, or like, am I being a trustworthy narrator? Like, am I reporting, or does she think that I'm just being neurotic? And something that I've been talking about a lot in therapy recently, yeah, we can go into like what triggered the most recent conversation about it. But essentially, like having somebody who is trained in food allergy anxiety, my food allergy therapist, she is a therapist, but she is also a food allergy mom. And so, and her child has done like treatment, all of the testing, like she knows intimately firsthand everything that I am putting myself through, or was trying to put myself through with OIT specifically. And so felt like I wasn't having to spend money trying to validate and explain to her this like really freaky process. And now that I've decided to not do OIT anymore, like it is so crazy how somebody who struggles with anxiety so much, that's like the matches and the gasoline. I also have a life-threatening food allergy, actually 5 of them. So like, it's just crazy that my matches are perfectly paired with their specific gasoline. Like it's honestly so cruel. Mm-hmm. And so having somebody, a resource to help me really sort through, like, is this my anxiety talking, or is this what is very real in order for me to stay safe? And those two, that can get so blurred. And the fear voice on my shoulder telling me like, this is dangerous. Like you have to keep cleaning, or this is dangerous. Like you need to check one more time, or all of the like crazy safety behaviors that it starts out with such good intentions and then it very quickly can snowball into something super unhealthy. So it's really hard to, I feel like I'm driving in like a snowstorm with my brain, because I don't, half the time I'm trying to like convince myself, like figure out like what is true and reasonable to keep me safe, and what is precipitating and digging me further into this hole of feeling unsafe. But I am safe because I've already done everything that I possibly can do, or because I'm doing something that my doctor has specifically told me he's not concerned about with me. So it really feels like a North Star compass to have somebody who is trained as a clinician in anxiety, but also trained through firsthand experience.
Yeah.
Being an allergy mom herself.
Does she give you specific tools? Because I think a lot of times when people think about going to therapy for the first time, you're like, okay, but like I have friends. Like I talk to my friends, or even like I have food allergy friends. I talk to my food allergy friends. Like what's the therapist going to offer that is more than that? Or why would I really need a therapist?
Such a good question. And like all I can say is it is so different. For example, on the day that I had therapy this past week, I had therapy in the morning at 10 a.m. and it's telemed, so really convenient. And then that evening I met up with a friend who just moved to town. She just moved from LA to Austin. I've talked about her before and recommended her page. We need to have her on as a guest.
Yes.
But she works in travel PR. So as somebody with way more anaphylactic food allergies than I do, and really unique ones, like not top 9, her job is to go to restaurants and host people abroad at those restaurants, which just sounds like my worst nightmare. Like you're afraid, and then you also have to like eat it in front of them, because if you don't eat it, then why are they eating it? You know, it's just really layered and complicated. But we had like such a cool and interesting conversation where we're just like comparing the way our brain works. And that conversation could not have been more different than the one that I had 6 hours prior with the therapist, being like, essentially it's labeled the same thing, like talking about how my brain works. I also think it's really important to note, like, I think I really struggled with anxiety separate to my allergies. Like growing up as a kid, before I knew that I needed to carry an EpiPen, before I knew the gravity of the situation, before I knew the nuances of how easily it could turn into something that was really dangerous to my well-being, like could be a medical emergency. I had severe anxiety and I just didn't know what to call it. Like, and it growing up in like, I had a magical childhood, but growing up in conservative town, Texas, like only crazy people go to therapy. Like it wasn't normal until I moved to California for college. And I thought it was hilarious how all of my friends who were born and raised in Pasadena or in West Hollywood or in Newport Beach, like everybody had a therapist. And I was like, these people are drinking too much green juice. Like how crazy of them. Like everybody has a therapist. And now I'm like, wow, they were onto something with the green juice too. That was yum.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, it took like living 10 years hearing from my best friends who therapy was like a normal, not shameful thing. And I really like, there are so many downsides to having anaphylactic food allergies, but one of the biggest silver linings for me is it, and OIT really, like even though it wasn't successful, I think it was a huge win because I truly needed the lifeline. I knew I could not put one foot in front of the other every day trying to do that treatment every morning without without help. Yeah. And I remember the first appointment, that was something that my doctor brought up. Like you might want to find a therapist that you really work well with to help you manage the stress and the anxiety that I can already tell you deal with without doing treatment. And boy, was he right. But
what a great component. And I think we've talked about that in previous episodes when we brought, was it Levi on or someone? I mean, how really it does need to be a part of every treatment process, and not even just treatment, but just when you're diagnosed with food allergies, it needs to be offered to the person if they're older, of course, if they have onset like adult allergies, but then to the parents who are just getting this like tidal wave of information thrown at them and all of these new things they have to be worried about, to not offer a parent that lifeline right then and there in the office is a problem.
Totally.
Maybe Alyssa was the one we were talking through with that.
Yes. You're right. Mm-hmm.
We'll link to that episode.
Yes. How it needs to be integrated
hand in hand.
I think if you're listening and you're really struggling with whatever it is you're struggling with right now with allergy life, it comes in waves and we've both been there. But like, if you're really needing like not a toxic positivity, but just like a true silver lining to hang on to right now, they're needing therapy because I was really going through the ringer with food allergies and food allergy treatment and food allergy anxiety. It was like a gateway drug. As somebody who the strongest thing I've ever had is a Benadryl and a glass of wine at the same time, like it was a gateway drug. What would I know? But I don't even jaywalk. But it was a gateway drug into like really uncovering and addressing things that I don't know if I ever would have addressed. I don't know if I ever would have had, if I could wave a magic wand away my food allergies. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat, but I don't know if I would have ever addressed the things that now I have addressed that have nothing to do with food allergies. And the food allergies were what really got me to trust this person and really make me feel like, wow, she really knows how my brain works. And like, she really knows her chops. Her experience is 10/10. Like, I trust her.
Yeah.
Whatever she says, like I can trust. And now it's really helped with family relationships, with relationships to myself, like just my brain getting sticky in ways that have nothing to do with allergies. And I'm so thankful for my allergies for empowering me, like that situation, empowering me to address things that would have been way easier to just keep sweeping under the rug and possibly affect me as an older person, or if I have kids, like really affect them negatively, affect a partner in the future. So I'm so grateful for that. And so if you're a little bit further behind on the journey, or it's just something that maybe it's not taboo to you, but you're just like, I don't have time for it. Just know that food allergies mostly suck, but they can really help you in this regard, as they did me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I think what you said about it bringing up, not even it bringing up, but the fact that when you have a therapist, you can address other things going on in your life is really an important thing to note, because you might be saying like, oh, allergies stress me out, but then it comes in waves and I'm fine. But let's be honest. Everybody has stuff in their life that they're dealing with, whether, it's with your parents, or you have trauma from something else, or you're dealing with something with your kids, whatever it might be, friendships, doesn't matter. We all carry baggage. And so, yes, you're going to get help when you're dealing with that big knockdown wave that comes to get you in food allergy life, but you're going to have a resource for all the other things in between. And I've experienced that too, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there are things that I didn't even realize were bothering me. And then all of a sudden the conversation kind of sways in that direction, and I just start bawling, crying about something that happened when I was 12 years old. And I'm looking around like, excuse me, what? Like, I didn't even know this was weighing on me. Yeah. But to be able to take that weight off, it really does lighten the overall load of your life. So I am a huge, huge proponent, and I'm brand new to therapy. So I don't have, as we mentioned, I don't have a specific food allergy related therapist. Not by choice necessarily, but I mean, anyone who has tried to figure out therapy knows it's not an easy journey. It just sucks in this country that it's like that. It really should be like booking any other medical appointment, but it is not.
No.
Many of these major insurance companies that we all have, they don't prioritize mental health care, or if they do, it's, fake they're just pretending to because that's the trendy thing. And it's just not true. I mean, the hoops I had to jump through, I remember 2 years ago, I actually started to say, okay, I need it. I'm going to do therapy. And then I tried. I actually really tried between all the other medical things for every other person in my family, between school pickups and drop-offs and work 9 to 5 and all the extra things I have on my plate. I said, no, I'm going to do this. And I remember sitting down for hours to try to figure it out, try to figure out who my insurance would cover, how much it was going to be, who took that insurance, who had availability, calling different people and saying, oh, actually, no, we don't have anybody available for that. And then that's just anyone. But if you want somebody who maybe is, for me, for example, I wanted a woman. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be a mom who understood the things that I was going through. Mm-hmm. I wanted it, I had all these things, like you're buying a house, right? You have this list of non-negotiables.
Has to have a patio.
Yes. And it's at the end of the day, you concede on almost everything because you have to in order to get a therapist in this country. It's absurd.
So the person that you finally were able to find, thank goodness, but they take your insurance?
Yeah, but it's still complicated. We are still dealing with insurance. They put in a claim and then it got sent back, and then I paid a certain amount because I thought I had met my out-of-pocket max and all of the, gobbledygook jargon that they use. And turns out, like, I did, but then it should have been this amount, so I'm going to be refunded. But now that it's a new year, it's going to charge me this much. I mean, It's just outrageous how complicated it is. And the fact that we have a mental health epidemic in this country, truly, the suicide rates and all of these things are sky high like they've never been before. And the fact that nobody is paying attention and changing the system to make it easier for people to both afford and just have access to mental health care is mind-boggling to me.
Insurance has not covered one penny of any of my therapy. And a lot of my friends are in the same boat, and they're not even as specific as I am. Like, they weren't even looking for something very specific to their immune system.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I honestly, if you told me, Danielle, you're going to start going to my favorite source, Reformation. If you're going to start going to Reformation every week and buying one of the nicest dresses that they have there every Wednesday at 10 a.m. You're going to start doing that. I'd be like, did I open another credit card?
Right.
Did I
win the lottery?
Did I get married to a sugar daddy? Yeah. Mom, if you're listening, don't worry. Still me. I would never. But I wouldn't have believed you.
No.
It really has. I've had to rebudget and I'm allocating things that I was keeping in my savings for a medical emergency, this is my surgery fund, or this is truly rainy day only. Or wow, I was going to start a business with this money. And I just realized if not, if it's really for something important and semi-emergency and a true need, this is the biggest need, the biggest rainy day, and the biggest, I need the lifeline. Yeah. So if it's the money that's stopping you, as somebody who had to dip into savings and who also had to rebudget their life, no regrets. It is still the best thing that I've ever done for myself. That and getting my dog. But I guess have you with the, what has it been now, a couple months?
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest changes or the things that you could go tell, 2 years ago you were trying to go through this process and arm wrestling with insurance. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that just the past few months have taught you that you wish you could tell past you who was interested but hadn't made the move?
Yeah. I think in kind of answering the question I posed to you earlier about what would you tell someone who thinks therapy is just talking to a friend too. I think that's the stuff I've learned through my therapy journey, is that it is a lot of talking and a lot of sharing, but it's more than that because of, I think, a couple of factors. One, even your closest, dearest friend, you don't feel, or at least maybe I'm just speaking from myself, but I think the majority of us don't feel like we can be 1,000,000% vulnerable, right? Even the friend we're closest with on the planet Earth, or your sister, or whoever it might be, there's always a part of you that's worried about how you said it, what they're going to think, what they're going to do. Like,
they're still going to be my best friend after that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't be 100% raw. And to be honest, even therapy, I remember the first couple of times I was like, I hope my therapist likes me. I hope she doesn't think I'm too crazy. Like, I'm that bad, right?
No, I think that's everybody. I think that all the time, where I'm like, this is the part where she's going to be like, okay, actually your brain is broken.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think like the biggest thing is like, every time I have the thought like, oh wow, she's going to be like, wow, never. Like this girl is truly past the point of no return repair.
Yeah.
Every single time, Sarah, she's like, you wouldn't believe how many times somebody's told me that.
Wow.
Like every time I think that I've had like this novel thing that's like haunting me, or that makes me like different, or my brain like irreparable, she's like, this is textbook.
Yeah.
Or she'll finish my sentence for me for something that I could never imagine saying out loud to another human. And I'm like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
And she's like, because everybody who has that thinks that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so even just hearing another person tell me like, you're not weird or you're not broken. You're just a human with a brain who's going through it.
Yeah.
That's not like, oh, okay, now you're healed. But just that was like taking an elephant off my back.
Yeah.
Feeling like there was like a way out of this anxiety.
Yeah. Validation, and not feeling like you're crazy. Like
totally.
that this is actually a thing that happens. It means a lot.
It does.
And that ability to be very vulnerable and just say whatever you're thinking and whatever comes next without anybody thinking you're too much or too dramatic or too whatever. That I think in and of itself has been very helpful for me.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think has been helpful is the tools that you always hear in therapy. It's like, oh, they give you tools for your tool belt. They don't tell you, it's, it's like
I say the same words and it makes me roll my eyes.
Yes, exactly. But I think for me, it's less about like, oh, get out my tool and do this when this happens. It's more, it gives me something to gnaw on, like something to think about later in different situations. Or like, I'm a visual person sometimes, or just like I visualize things in my mind. And so there are times when I'll be saying something and she's like, okay, think of it like this, and kind of plays out a scenario, but visually for me, like, okay, you're going through a forest and there's all these paths, but like in order to make a new path, a new wiring, you have to like do it a bunch of times. It doesn't just like happen overnight. There's no tool that you just like, and it's a new path. Like you have to wear it down. You have to do it over and over again for it to feel normal and natural and whatever. And so like things like that someone could just tell you that, but it didn't stick for me until I had somebody explain the why behind it. And again, that might just be a me thing, but I think in general that helps people to understand why our brains are working a certain way, or how we can forge a different path. And it's tools like that have really helped me just move through different situations.
It's so funny because I am having the opposite experience as you. Like I think because it's from the food allergy perspective, like, and with the safety behaviors and like the things that I do, just like desperately trying to keep myself safe and well and like out of the hospital, are actually what's putting me in a dark place mentally.
Yeah.
And so like, I actually do like have a tool that I pull out of the tool, but like when I'm really having a spiral, like I like the other day walked accidentally through a pile of nuts on the floor. Costco, I'm talking hundreds of peanuts on the sidewalk.
Why?
That I walked through and the dog walked through.
Why are people not cleaning this up?
I don't know, but like it sent me into fight or flight, and I literally had to like pull out my phone and like the note, be like, all right, I felt like I was like going down the rabbit hole Alice in Wonderland style, and was just like grasping for like one singular thing that I've learned in the year and a half. And it helped. And then to be able to talk to her 2 days later also helped. But I was pulling out a literal tool. I think two things is one, it has made me have, and my friends have told me this, like I have never had more grace for myself, more compassion for myself, more empathy for myself. I've never been able to like self-parent and self-soothe with such kindness before. And into the second thing is like my best friends on planet Earth, totally separately. Like I'm not like a part of a friend group. Like I have like 4 best friends, but we don't really hang out all together, and they're all in different cities. And every single one of them at some point in the past year and a half has told me how proud they are of me because they can hear me talking to myself better, or they can hear me like when they're asking me for advice, they're like, past you would have never been able to offer me that kind of valuable advice because your brain didn't know how to think that way. And it's what you're saying, like the neural pathways, like you have to like zzz, like a million times over until your brain starts to build the pathway to think or to go down a healthier direction.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think like if you're looking for a food allergy specific person, and that's like something that held me back for a really long time, is I was like, nobody's going to get it.
Yeah. But yeah, you went through a specific source.
Yeah, we're going to link it, and hopefully we'll have her on as a guest too.
I hope so. Yes.
Yes. She has a directory and we'll link it in the show notes, but that actually made it so much easier for me because instead of being like, where am I going to find a therapist? Like, do I go to one of the online things? Do I look on my insurance's website? Do I this, that, or the other? This person was like, here are the people by state. So I was like, all right, there's 4 people in Texas.
Yeah. Narrows it down.
Let me lurk and like read as many blogs, and maybe if a lot of them have been on podcasts or written articles. And I was just like, which one feels like the one that I will listen to, instead of being like, I'm listening to my own thing the way I always do. And I stuck with her. And so many of my friends said that they have to like date therapists.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like that was a huge blessing too, where God for me, or whatever you believe in, was just like, I'm just going to throw you a bone. I'm going to throw you a bone and make the first one a match.
That's good.
I have been thrown no bones in my dating life, but like in my therapy dating life, I'll take it.
Yes, seriously.
But yeah, I really encourage you, if you're listening and any of this feels like it strikes a chord, like just freaking click on the link that's below.
And I would say beyond that, right? If it's not in your budget and there's no way to kind of re-look at your budget and figure out how to spend $250 a week or whatever it costs. I mean, insurance is a pain in the ass, hands down. Like there's no way around that. But for me, eventually I just said, screw it. Like, so you looked specific for someone. And for me, I was like, you know what? I don't even care who I get at this point. If like
start somewhere.
And so I think that would be my push as well. Is like, yes, go to the list, do that. Like if you financially can, or you feel like it's what's best for you, but also at the end of the day, talking to anyone who's a, trained, licensed, whatever, therapist, of course. But doing that, taking that first step. And if you have to date a couple, it's fine. Like if you start talking to someone for a couple weeks, but insurance is covering it, to a certain extent. And then it's like, I don't know, let me find somebody else. You'll already be kind of like in the groove. So it'll be easy to just be like, okay, go down the list to the next rando and see if it works. Or maybe life will lighten up for you for a minute and you'll have a little more time to do a little more research. But at the end of the day, just do it. Just do it. I think every human could benefit from therapy.
Totally. And it really makes me wonder, like, why was it so taboo for the generations before us? Like, was therapy different? Or I don't know. I think like something else that helped me get over that is every person who I admired, usually like a podcast host or like an author or honestly just like a mentor in my life, like all of the people in my life who felt like they were little like glimmers of North Stars of like, wow, that person, like not necessarily that they have it all figured out, but like they're doing so good for themselves. Like they're treating themselves with so much respect, or like, I hope one day I can be like them in whatever way it is that I'm looking up to them. Every single one of them had a therapist. And I was like, okay, fine. Like,
yeah. It's true though. I mean, I think it helps people get to a better place, whatever you're trying to reach for or get to, or just seek shelter from, or whatever it might be. Therapy is a way to do that. And it might not solve everybody's problems.
No.
And it might even be a situation where you end up not loving it. But I think that it can help at different points in our life. And I think everybody can benefit in some way from it.
And then I think that's like something else. Like, it's not like it's not like bronchitis where like you go in to see the doctor and they give you a prescription and you go back the next week if the drugs aren't kicking in. And then next month you like might even have forgotten that you had bronchitis last month. That's not the way your brains work. Like, my therapist said something to me the other day. I was just like, when is this not going to, like, when will this ever go away? And she was like, I'm not saying this, like, hopefully this will give you hope, not make you hopeless. But like, I think this is the way your brain works. Like, this is something that you're going to navigate for the rest of your life. So we're going to help you get really good at navigating it. And that's when I was just like, oh, like stopping the language of like, my brain needs to be fixed, or like, this is just the way it is. And I can't seem to fix it. It's like, well, it's not an upper respiratory infection. Like, it's your brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like more of like a journey. And I think that ties into like, you're starting with this person, or you're starting where you can, even if it's just once a month or once every other month, or once biweekly. I've moved to biweekly because I was just like, I financially need to.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel like I do not want to go, I was going to deviate to something. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can talk about it right now, because I feel like I'm pretty emotional about it, as you know, when I was crying before the camera started today. But I do want to bring it up only because I think it is a topic that needs to be talked about. And it's like food allergy, anxiety, and like mental health in food allergy children. And obviously you were one, and I know we've talked at length about like your experience was a little different growing up than, you know, someone who's doing treatment right now, or someone who's had a bunch of anaphylactic reactions. I mean, some of my dear friends in the food allergy community, they're like, of course my kid has anxiety. I've epied them 5 times in their short life, you know, like that would be traumatic.
Yeah. And
so for kids like that, or for kids like mine, you know, we spoke earlier, but you know, Graham currently is struggling. It's become an emotional thing for him. Treatment is not easy, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. And he's protesting in a way that's not like I just don't want this. It's like I
want to stop.
Yeah. It's like a deep down guttural, like feeling for him. And it's really, really hard as a mom to look in on that. And so I'm right now, I mean, I have no answers really to provide other than to say like solidarity to anybody else in that boat, because it is so hard to watch your child go through something like that. And I don't know what the answer is. Like, I don't know, do I need to look into therapy for him? He's 6 years old. That seems to me, even though I know I love therapy now, I think about it and it's like, well, does that do any kind of stigma for him at 6 years old to put him in therapy? Like, I'm still wrestling with that. So I don't know.
I don't know the answers, but I do know that, like, I don't know about 6 years old. I really don't remember being 6 years old, but I do know that, like, if my parents had given me the resource of therapy when I first really started showing signs of struggling with anxiety, and it was like 6th, 7th grade, like, it's gonna make me cry. Like, I would do anything to know my therapist back then.
Yeah.
Or somebody like that. Because I think I would have arm wrestled with myself a lot less. Like, it took me feeling like I was like dying every day, every morning with treatment to like do that for myself. So maybe he needs it right now and maybe he doesn't, but in terms of like it being a stigma, like, there is no stigma.
Yeah.
No matter what age.
Yeah. It's just about helping our kids. And
totally,
like, you're such a beautiful, like, successful, wonderful person and friend, and I respect you so much, but am now placing my son's face on yours and watching the struggle. Yeah. And I'm like, not to say anything negative about your life. I don't want that
for him either.
But I don't want him to be sitting here at 30 something years old and saying, I wish my parents did something to help me.
Yeah. And like, I remember my mom, again, it was stigma for everybody. I remember my mom, like us driving I was a horseback rider, but like a lot of your conversations with your parents are like on the way to your sport. And I remember her being like, do you want to talk to somebody? Like she knew I needed help. And I just was like, no, like, what are you talking about? No. Like, and then in the back of my mind was like, okay, you have to get better at hiding this. Like you have to perform better so that you don't, like your family doesn't know like how much you're having a hard time.
It's so heavy, man.
It is. And like, I don't take that anyway, except for positively for you to say, like, I don't want Graham to be going through this. Yeah. Yeah. I know nothing about child psychologists, but it's nothing. What I do know is there's no stigma. Like, it's just a resource, and either you need it right now or you don't. Like,
and also it doesn't hurt to try. I mean, I just literally said that. And so it's like, take your own medicine, Sarah. Like if nothing else, I guess why not just see if it helps? Like do it for a little bit and try it, you know? I mean, I think that could be an option because I mean, for us too, when you're young, you know, things don't just come out. Your kid doesn't just come to you and say like, hi mommy, I would like therapy, please. Or, hey mommy, I'm struggling with this, or I'm even feeling this. Like kids don't know how to articulate that.
Think about when Graham has the flu. Yeah. Okay. Something like totally, we can all relate to the flu.
Yeah.
He has the flu. He never comes to you and says, Mom, I need you to put me in the car and take me to the doctor because I'm not getting better. Yeah. And the over-the-counter meds aren't cutting it. I think this is more than just a virus. If you tell your kid, we have to go to the doctor, they're screaming, throwing a fit half the time because they know that might mean a shot or whatever. Like, name a kid who likes to go to the doctor. Maybe there's some weirdos, but like I wasn't that. No. I was the weirdo on the other end that was like, no, not the doctor.
Yes.
So yeah, isn't it funny though? Like, isn't it telling to like know seeing a friend go through it, seeing yourself go through it, and there's still
hesitate.
It's still a stickiness. Yeah. And I don't know what it is or why, but like,
I think it's a cultural thing.
I agree. And I think that's helpful for other people to hear too, though, because it's one thing to like, oh, that's great for them, but about themselves.
Totally.
Or their kid. Yeah.
I don't know if there's been another episode where I felt more like it's just you and I talking. I'm like, oh wait, they're still here.
Wait, are the cameras even on? That's hilarious.
But I mean, also that's the point of this, right? When we started this podcast, it was very much for us to be like, we're going to sit on a couch and like, let's let people have that moment of sitting there and hearing just people talk about all the things I'm thinking and going through. And so
you feel alone in.
Hopefully, even though we tuned you guys out for a moment.
Sorry, thanks for joining our conversation.
Hopefully it is in some way helpful to just know that like if you're dealing with stuff, you're not alone. Because, you know, kids, like we were just talking about, they're not going to tell you what they need. And I think it's important that I at least explore that avenue, especially because, you know, it doesn't also just come out as sadness or come out as anxiety, you know, like things pop up at school, making decisions they shouldn't make, or, you know, acting out in certain ways. And all of that could be normal. It also could be a cry for help. It could be any number of things. And I think there's a level of stress I feel to make sure I'm doing the best I can. And a lot of times I feel like I'm like the world's most mediocre parent, but like I'm also
I guarantee
just a person.
You are quite on the other end of the spectrum.
Thanks.
Like I was telling this to my friend the other day, and this will be the last thing that I say, hold me to it. Where I was just like, some of the biggest blessings in my adult life have come in the past couple of years when I really feel like I have struggled the most, especially with myself, but like with housing. And it's just been like, it's been a crazy couple of years, handful of years.
Yeah.
But the two of my biggest blessings came during those years. And I always say my therapist and finally like reaching a point where I really needed to be in therapy. Like that was just such a blessing. And meeting the allergy mom that I never had. I'm going to cry again. But like Graham has an opportunity to have treatment and to have a mom who makes therapy an option. And if you're listening and you're a food allergy adult and you're like, wow, I'm in Danielle's camp where like I'm in my 30s and I'm so jealous of the Grahams of the world. It really is like the brain is so cool, and learning in therapy, it's so cool because it's never too late. Like your brain is constantly changing.
Yeah.
It's neuroplasticity. Like you're growing your thought patterns in one direction or the other. So whether you're starting at Graham's age at 6 or you're starting at 33 or you're starting in your 60s, like your brain is always growing and changing. And so I really feel like in my 30s and in the most stressful years of my life, my adult life, I got to almost like go back in time and like take like 7th grade year old me by the hand and be like, here are like 2 women who like, I wish you could have met earlier, but are going to be so healing for you. And so to hear you say things like, sometimes I feel like a mediocre parent. I'm like, in a lot of ways, like you have healed like a past younger version of me, and
can't reach you.
Fingertip.
Yeah.
And so like Graham is only 6. He can't tell you this, but like as somebody who you've been a mom to me a lot of times, even though we're only a few years apart, like you are such a spectacular mom. And I can't think of you leading with a better example. Like even when you're feeling like, oh, like I have to leave for another work trip, like I still think that is such a stunning example to set for them. Like they get to see a mom go and work.
Yeah.
And like they get to see a mom who goes to therapy. They get to see a mom who goes and makes time for herself for yoga. They get to see a mom who is like leading the charge, helping other moms who feel bad the way that they do about things that they feel like nobody else understands. So you're like, it like makes me like shake, being like, mediocre mom. Like, don't you say that about my food allergy mom. Oh, man. You and my therapist, like 2 women that I'm like, I am so glad that like 14-year-old me gets to know you too.
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you. See, once again, we're like, are the cameras here? Yeah. No, seriously, that means a lot to me. Yeah. Like it does make me feel better. So thank you. And I am so glad that we can be here for each other.
Yeah.
Because it's not a one-way street. I feel a lot of support from you and like a genuine, like caring, like you care about me and my life and my family and so give me advice in a way that other people can't. And I'm also I'm always amazed by the person that you are.
I feel like we have an unspoken rule that we can't be losing our shit on the same day.
I know. And we kind of have a little though today, like we're both falling apart today. But yes, in terms of like overall general like mental health moments today, I'm in a slump and you're carrying me. You're buoying.
Okay.
Wait, what's the word? Buoying?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounded weird coming out of my mouth.
The opposite. Last week I was like, I just walked through 100
peanuts. Anyways, roller coaster, this allergy life. Okay. Well, we're trying to hold ourselves to shorter episodes, but this one, it's the length it needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we love you guys.
And
we would love to hear your thoughts and any like suggestions, ideas, whatever. We're here for it.
Specifically, we are going to have the woman who created the food allergy directory that I found my therapist on. We are going to have her on.
Yeah.
And that's going to be later in the spring. So if there's something specifically, we always say like, we're not MDs or like, we can only speak from like the patient perspective, but if there's something specifically you want us to delve into with a trained professional, a degreed person who understands the way brains and allergy specifically brains work, please send us an email. DMs work, but emails are far easier to file away.
Right. Like we have them in an organized fashion.
Exactly. Yes. So email us specifically for that episode, any questions that you have for her.
epipodpodcast@gmail.com. But it's also in our little bio and things.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for being here. And
yeah,
we're going to see you next week. Maybe, no promises, maybe with less tears.
Yeah, maybe. We'll try. Okay. See you next week.